We begin the news today with the federal government's plan for a new pay rise for military personnel. This comes as part of ongoing efforts to improve their welfare, boost morale, and strengthen the country's security architecture. Minister of Defense General Christopher Musa, retired, disclosed the plan while delivering the keynote address at a one-day training and financial empowerment workshop for widows and wives of service personnel serving in theaters of operation. The government said the anticipated salary adjustment was intended to recognize the sacrifices and dedication of members of the armed forces while enhancing their motivation and overall well-being. The federal government had in recent months stepped up efforts to tackle insurgency, banditry, and other violent crimes through a combination of expanded military operations, force restructuring, and increased investment in security assets. As part of this strategy, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu recently approved the establishment of 4 new Nigerian Army divisions, expanding the Army from 8 to 12 divisions.
Moving on, President Bola Tinubu yesterday snubbed a special envoy from South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa. The South African delegation, led by International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola, arrived in Abuja on Friday with a message from President Ramaphosa. The development follows renewed xenophobic attacks on Nigerians and other foreign nationals in South Africa, with Abuja continuing to press Pretoria to protect its citizens better and ensure accountability for the violence. The delegation eventually met with Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Shola Enikonlaye. The minister restated Nigeria's demand for the South African government to take decisive action against recurring Afrophobic attacks on Nigerians and other African nationals.
On the Nigerian side, we made it very clear, we condemn in very strong terms what's going on, and we have asked for specific guarantees for Nigerians in terms of activation of the early warning mechanism, in terms of visible deployments of police to areas that are prone to such violence. We've asked for accountability for those who have been arrested. Minister Lamola told me arrests are going on, prosecution are going on. They're going to hold those perpetrating attacks on our national to account.
The South African government condemns all form of xenophobia, any form of intolerance or related intolerance happening in our country, and that no South African national has got a right to take the law into their own hands. This is the responsibility of the state and the state alone. We have also raised the concerns of the South African government and the South African public with regards to some of the Nigerian nationals in our public system, particularly those who commit crime. And we must be clear, it's not all Nigerians, nationals. Some who do commit crime and who are within our system, and the crimes include drug peddling, the crime of wire fraud, and many related crimes that we are concerned about. We are also concerned about some of the nationals having taken over certain communities in South Africa, and in particular in a city called Pretoria, Tshwane, Sunnyside area. In Johannesburg, it's a city and a place called Hillbrow. And there are some areas across the country that are impacted in that negative way.
The House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating the activities of the Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council has directed the Inspector General of Police to produce the self-acclaimed Director General of the organization, Adeyemi Adeniyi. The committee ordered that he should be produced before the panel by noon on Wednesday. The directive was issued on Monday during the committee's resumed investigative hearing at the National Assembly in Abuja, where lawmakers intensified their probe into the activities of the controversial body. One of the highlights of the hearing was the committee's examination of signatures on the document allegedly issued from the Office of the Chief of Staff to the President and comparison with verified official correspondence obtained by the police. The committee chairman disclosed that about 29 alleged forged documents had so far been identified, including purported approvals from the State House the Office of the Secretary of Government to the Federation, and the Office of the Head of Service of the Federation, the Federal Ministry of Finance, and several other institutions.
Well, the police command in Osun has launched an investigation into the alleged attack on the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) officials in Odotin local government area by suspected hoodlums carting away permanent voter cards (PVCs). The command spokesperson DSP Abiodun Ojalabi, in a statement, said INEC officials in Osun who were distributing permanent voter cards at Oyinlola DC Primary School Ward 2 Odotin local government area were attacked by about 10 armed thugs. Also speaking on the incident, the chief press secretary to the INEC chairman, Adedayo Kitola, said preliminary investigation showed that some bimodal voter accreditation system (BVAS) devices were also stolen during the incident. He, however, confirmed that the number of stolen devices was insignificant to disrupt or compromise the election. Meanwhile, Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke yesterday approved that all categories of public servants in Osun State should be off duty today, Tuesday, to collect their permanent voter cards. Adeleke also declared that the August 15 election cannot be rigged or manipulated, insisting that the people's votes will determine the outcome. All right. Okay, let's get straight into the news this morning. Now, first of all, let me start with Osun State, since that's where we ended here today. And that is just a few words on that, since we have talked at length, and we will continue to talk about the security situation in Osun State ahead of the elections in August. The importance of this is that if we don't get it right with the regional election, with an off-cycle election, then it doesn't in any way impose confidence or give confidence to the people to come out for elections in January of 2027. And don't forget, we're already at risk of a significant level of voter apathy. Based on, number one, the number of people who were able to register or change addresses of their polling units during the continuous voter registration exercise that just ended on Sunday. Two, the state of insecurity and the polity. And so what we want to ensure is that people feel confident enough in the process to come out to vote, and people feel confident enough in their security, in the area of their lives and property, to be able to come out to vote in January. And we're watching the off-cycle elections to see the readiness of not just INEC, but security operatives in response to these acts of violence and this vandalization. And so that is why Osun State is very important, and we continue to call on all appropriate authorities to address these challenges, because Nigerians need that assurance that when they go out to the polls in January, they will not be threatened, they will not be harmed, and that their vote will actually count. And so even though the INEC officials have said that the stealing of the PVCs and the destruction of some of their assets, it will not significantly impact on the elections themselves, it is the optics, it is the message that it is sending out. Osun State should not attract such controversies and violence in a manner and way that would discourage people from going out to vote. So I'm glad that the governor has consistently come out to assure his people that there will be safety, their votes will count, and let us put power where the words have come. Now, talking about putting power where words have come, I love the fact that the Minister of Defense, General Mustafa Musa, has come out to speak about the efforts of the military, especially some areas around welfare and things that we've often advocated. In fact, from what he said at the training session held for widows and some of the wives of military personnel, which I thought is a fantastic initiative, by the way, by SMIDAN, addressing those concerns. We talked about what happens to family members when their loved ones die in the theater of war. And so to see that there being their demography that is being addressed, not forgotten, when it comes to empowering them through small micro nano business interventions, excellent. Now, the Minister of Defense used the opportunity to then talk about some of the efforts of this administration to ensure the welfare of the military. Of course, we've said that if we're going to win this war against terrorism, we must look at those who go out to do the very difficult job of protecting our territorial integrity. One of the things he said was that they will improve welfare. The second thing that's come on that conversation is increasing the salaries of the troops, that he himself had advocated for an increase from about 49,000 naira to 100,000 naira 2 years ago, which is approved by the president. Excellent. Now, moving on from that is another case being made for an increase in their salaries. But I'd like to take us to the conversation we had yesterday with Group Captain Sadiq, retired, where he enumerated a number of areas that must be looked into if we are talking about the welfare of our military troops. Not just an increase in their salary, which is a fantastic move, but other areas: access to quality healthcare, access to quality equipment. I'm glad that the Minister of Defense also mentioned areas where they have invested in equipping the troops, but a lot more has to be done. But when they talk about these things, of course, the first question or a number, what would come to mind would be funding. Where would the money come from? We cannot make announcements like this if it is not cash backed. And that is the concern for a number of people, that we have these fantastic initiatives, fantastic ideas around welfare, improving access to healthcare, ensuring that they get their allowances on time, they are properly kitted, they don't have to pay for their own kits, as the guest said yesterday, that we are able to look at our military personnel who sometimes have to pay the ultimate price, with their lives, and also leaving their family members behind when they do this, that they are well looked after. So I'm hopeful that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration would not just pay lip service to these initiatives, but would actually put and cash back these initiatives. So fantastic one there, and also on Smedan, but it's only fantastic, let me put a caveat there, if it actually materializes into real, to us seeing it happen in real life. So we'll keep an eye on this one. We're backing our military, we support them, and we want them to have the best, when it comes to going out for combat. Now let me come down to the South African issue, because of course we have condemned in very strong terms the treatment of Nigerians in South Africa. And we have said that this government and Nigeria itself has to take a very, stern stance away from just talking to actually demonstrating action. And so I praise, and I'm glad that the president did not give the special envoy audience just to demonstrate the displeasure of Nigeria at the way that his president, that is President Ramaphosa, has handled this particular matter, and the South African government. The fact that they would even come, in fact, I was watching the speech that was played a few minutes ago, and he still had the audacity on Nigerian soil to be talking about drug dealers, this, and I'm like, the audacity. What you should come here to be doing is to apologize and share with us ways in which South Africa is looking to handle this matter. And that is why I believe that the Nigerian side of things must continue to double down on its intolerance of the treatment of Nigerians and the killing of Nigerians in South Africa. So very quickly, the only thing I'll just mention is that this must be escalated to the African Union. We talked about that, and even where possible to the ICC, and then reciprocity as well, whether it's economic through our bilateral agreements, and also through diplomatic channels as well. We must take a tough stand. No Nigerian life must be dehumanized or even lost in South Africa. Rufai, your take on these stories?
A couple of things. Number one, with what I have seen in Odualton, the Osun elections, by my prediction, will be a shame to democracy. The Tony Tomatoes of this world will use cash to sway people. It's not going to be about the humility of Abike. And I keep making all of these references to a popular series on television in Nigeria. There's going to be a lot of violence. In fact, prior to the election, there's been more violence than you can ever think of. And Odualton just confirms it, because those elections, the integrity of those elections are in jeopardy if those PVCs are not recovered. Because those PVCs that were collected in Odualton, and that as if they are not recovered, and I put in a caveat, those PVCs will find their way to be used in this election. And the election in Osun State will be a shame. It will be a show of shame. And it will be on record that a lot of forces aided it, because we see what's happening in Osun State. And we see how decisive action has not been meted out at the perpetrators of all of this heinous things happening in Osun State. the Osun state election is going to be another downtime and a sore point for Nigerian democracy. And it will continue in the line of the fashion of off-cycles elections we've started having. And it's going to be a shame. Please, I want them to prove me wrong. I want my prediction to come to naught. But I know it will be hard for them to prove me wrong because culture will eat strategy for breakfast. Number two, as regards the point of equipping the military, doing well for them, doing a lot for the military, good points. But can I ask a very honest question? The average salary of a top politician from House of Rep, Senate level up to the presidency and their allowances is sort of buffered against inflation. Whatever a senator earns or a top government functionary or their allowances or the perks is buffered against inflation. I mean, we're having a controversy back and forth about the car one of the top senators was driving. He was driving a Maybach. What about the salaries of an average individual? I know it's not economically practical to have a triple lock system that buffers the salary of our military personnel against inflation. But top government officials can earn so much that whatever they earn is buffered against inflation. You can see the disparity. As we speak today, if you give military officers 100,000, it does not hedge against inflation. Because as we speak today, when you look at the inflationary trends, according to statistics released by the National Bureau of Statistics, to have a very good meal a day, nutritious meal, will set you back thousands of naira, over 1,500, 2,000. If you prorate that by 30 days in a week, you will spend over 100,000 to have a good meal by one person. The minimum wage actually can only give you good meal for like half of the month. So when you now buffer that against inflation, as it is, that 100,000 mark cannot stop. Because when you now look at it critically, that money is just for one person. If the man earns 100,000, he's on the battlefront and he has family members. So as it is today, whatever that increase is, inflation has outrun the increase on the salary. It's just a matter of time. They will start asking for more money. The second point I want to make is operational gadgets. How many of the military officers truly have all their full kitting? How many of them have their night vision goggles? How many of them buy for themselves? How many of them buy their own boots? How many of them buy their recce apparatus? As it is today, strip a Nigerian soldier bare. Apart from the rifle, the uniform, what else as regards of kitting and gadgets do they give them? Do they give them on-armory water bottles? Do they give them on-armory packs? If they have operations on the night, do they have recce materials? Do they have goggles? Do they have operational facilities and materials? These are the questions. If you ask the military officers on the battlefront to come out to see if they have these materials, you will hear a lot of stories. Ordinarily, we saw their feeding. We had to advocate for their feeding. So it's not just increasing personal allowances, personal costs, insurance packages, operational tools, then extension to operational deliverables and dispensables. Dispensables like armory, bullets, grenades, bombs, Molotovs, things like that. How well are they properly kitted? Your guess is as good as mine. Ayo, in a country where only 7% of that CAPEX cost was released. So you know that there's a downline as regards that. So, and that's why yesterday we're calling for gaming theory, reconnaissance and evaluation of the military, looking at TRADOC over the years, looking at the mentality and what is going on, looking at infrastructural costs, checking armory deficits, checking all of these strategic critical areas, while also creating the division. I'm happy President Tinubu didn't see that envoy. President Tinubu, kudos to you. Although they said it was a scheduling problem, but enough of the insults by Cyril Ramaphosa on us. If you want to talk to us, Cyril Ramaphosa, come to Nigeria and talk to us. Stop sending envoy. This matter is beyond envoy. You are killing our people. And I say you are killing our people because governments in South Africa now looks to be involved in all of this. Where was that Nigerian beaten to death? In police custody. It's a police custody, not a reflection of the government in South Africa. So, Ramaphosa, you can't be killing our people. Your government can't be killing our people since they are dying in police custody now. And you are sending envoy to us. Ramaphosa, even if you can't come, which I think you should be able to come, if you even have any modicum of respect for us, you have President Tinubu's phone number. Don't send envoy to us. Stop insulting us. This insult is too much. In case you forget, how collectively over the years we donated over $60 billion to the cause of the liberation and the freedom you enjoy today. We'll remind you, Ramaphosa, stop sending envoys and insulting us.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm waiting to be cut off characteristically, but there are things I would like to say. I can keep my knowledge to myself. And I begin as follows with South Africa. It is not unusual for the president of a country to send envoys to another country. Now, what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done is to send a diplomatic statement. In diplomacy, there are nuances, there are gestures. Now, what the Nigerian president has said is that, look, there was no prior notice. I don't believe that, because it would be difficult for a brother president to send an envoy or a team of envoys to another president without giving a prior notice. That would be against protocols in international diplomatic practice. However, I've written a column, an extended, column on the subject today, which I titled Xenophobia, Tinubu and Ramaphosa, on the back page of this day newspaper. And my simple submission is that yes, the response of the Nigerian president is most appropriate, and that this is how it is done in diplomacy. They have not said anything offensive, but the president has said, well, I cannot be visited without prior notice, and, I have my own schedule, so why don't you go and see the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs? And that was exactly what happened yesterday, and Ambassador Shola Enikonolaye tabled Nigeria's grievances. And I think in this particular case, Nigeria has done well because Nigerians' lives matter. Nigerian lives matter, whether in South Africa or in any part of the world or even at home. So I think it's a triumph on the foreign policy front for President Tinubu to have snubbed President Ramaphosa, whatever cover story they have given. Let us note also that the team from South Africa came directly from Ghana, where they were, received by the Ghanaian president. Although Ghana has been more proactive in objecting to the conduct of the South Africans. Now, let us also note that this visit was proposed just about 24 hours after a Nigerian, Chika Ibe Simon, was strangulated by South African police. And then they came to Nigeria to come and see our president. I think Nigeria acted rightly by saying our president is not available. Now there's going to be a meeting of the African Union on conflict prevention and all of that, August 29 to 30 in Luanda, Angola. On the back of the 69th extraordinary meeting, 69th ordinary meeting of the Authority of the Heads of States of ECOWAS, where Nigeria and Ghana led in saying that this matter has to go to the African Union. And this is why South Africa has just woken up now, and South Africa is running helter-skelter and saying we are looking for shared responsibility with Ghana, with Nigeria, with other countries. No, we do not share the responsibility for genocide, the politics of hate, and the misconduct of both the South African government and its people. And I think that the message that Nigeria should deliver to President Ramaphosa and his people is the message that was sent out by ECOWAS at its last 69th ordinary meeting, that the behavior of South Africa in this xenophobia, they also call it Afrophobia, is un-African and a violation of the principles of integration or Pan-Africanism or the objectives of the African Agenda 2036. I'll end there. The rest of my arguments are in the back page of this day newspaper today. Now, on Osun, we can only continue to plead that the people of Osun State must give peace a chance. Now we are told that people have been given a holiday to go and collect their PVCs, their permanent voters cards. Now, that I think is a good move by Governor Adeleke. It's collection. What INEC is objecting to is continued, extension of the deadline, which expired by 3 p.m. on Sunday, last Sunday, that is. And I think that the people in this should have their PVCs, because that is the instrument that they can use to make informed choice. And we hope that the people of Osun will make informed choice, and the various security agencies will do their job as expected by the law. Now, the federal government, speaking through Christopher Musa, retired general, now says it's going to increase the salaries of soldiers in line with the further expansion of the scope, weight, authority of the Nigerian Armed Forces, with 28 additional troops joining and 4 additional battalions being created. Well, I think I'll just piggyback on what Group Captain Cyril, retired, who was with us on this program yesterday morning, said. When I posed a question to him that Aline Dume, Senator, Borno North, has been talking about what he called an acronym TEAM, that the emphasis should be on training, equipment, ammunitions, and also motivation. And it was very instructive how Group Captain Cyril, retired, responded to the point about motivation. He said motivation is not just about salaries. It's about a complexity, a complexus of other issues. 1, making sure that even the soldiers are allowed to go back home. 2, making sure that their families are properly taken care of. Making sure that if they die, they are, provided for. Making sure that they have the right kind of equipment to ensure that terrorists and bandits and insurgents are not better equipped than Nigerian soldiers. And he gave all of that. So it's not, I repeat, what Group Captain Shehu said, it's not just about giving more money. It's about providing an enabling environment for the Nigerian military to be able to function. Finally, House Committee. The House Committee that is investigating the ghost phenomenon in the Nigerian government, the tradition, the emergence of fakery in Nigerian governmental processes, has now asked that the so-called Yemi Adeniyi Matthew, who created a ghost presidential agency, look at the insolence, the brazenness, using the office of the president to create a fake agency and to have operated for so long in the full view of the security agencies. We are told that the IGP should produce him tomorrow. I hope that the Inspector General of Police, Tunji Disu, will not disappoint the ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives and present this Adeniyi Adeyemi because there is a lot to be heard from him. The Accountant General of the Federation, Ogunjimi, said that in fact they even wrote a letter to the State House to point out that this was a fake agency and that the enabling code had not been given or authorized. This same so-called Adeniyi Adeyemi Matthew blocked the delivery of that letter, which tells us that the rot is far deeper than we imagine, which tells us that this subject matter is getting curiouser and curiouser. And the Nigerian people may not rely only on the House of Representatives ad hoc committee. All of us are invested in this matter. And indeed, if it is possible, the testimony of this so-called Adeniyi Adeyemi Matthew, Director General of the PFIPC, should be televised. Or maybe opportunities should be made available for civil society to be involved in the interrogation so that our knowledge can be further deepened about how the Nigerian government went wrong.